What is going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to TV and Me. I'm of course Kevin, and it's time for the Walking Dead weekend. So before we get into the recap this week, I've actually got a quick little story, a quick little funny story, or not funny for me, probably funny for the people that sold me this, but yeah, disappointment for me. But as you know, I've launched Patreon, and with Patreon I'm going to use those funds to, improve my channel. And the equipment I need is more than I'm earning at the minute, so what I'm doing is I'm saving month upon month to get the stuff I need. And in the meantime, I thought I'd buy something for the channel that was quite cheap, but would add something to the channel, or a little gimmick to the channel. And I went on the internet, I searched, and I was actually looking for a cushion, because when I'm sitting on the chair watching these shows, sometimes, because when I'm at home watching TV shows on my own, I normally have a cushion off the sofa, and I normally sit there with it cuddled up to me like that. So I thought I'd buy one that I could use on the channel, on this channel, and it would be a custom one and have TV and Me, the logo, on the front. Now I searched through eBay, I had a look at the options, and I found this one shop that would do it personalised for me. And the image they showed was the cover of the pillow with my logo covering the entirety of the front and then written text on the back. And I thought, wicked, that would be perfect for the channel. So I ordered it, and a week goes by and I didn't receive it. So at this point I was like, well, where's my item I ordered? So I got in contact with them. They replied, they said, oh, our machine has broken down, so unfortunately it's going to have to be delayed by another week. So I waited for another week, it still didn't appear. I emailed them and they replied, oh no, it's been sent out, it's on its way. So a few more days later it arrived, and I opened it up with big anticipation, expecting this nice pillowcase with TV and Me written on the front, covered on the front, and then my text on the back, the text I ordered. And I ended up with this. This faded piece. Oh, let me see if I've got it framed. There we go. This faded piece of shite. So apparently, when they said cover the whole pillow front, they meant only the centre. And it's so faded, it is unreal. It's got none of the colour they showed on their shop front. And yeah, it's not even a white pillowcase, which I asked for. It's like this beigey khaki colour. And then on the back, I mean, they got the text right, I'll give them that, but I thought it'd be pretty funny to have that on the back. But number one, it's not covering the whole back again like they said it would, and two, it's not the font I chose. So yeah, that was a disaster. So I guess I'll take that as a lesson learned, and going forward I'll be more careful with what I buy on the internet. But the whole reason I did this cushion thing as well, not only was it to bring like a gimmick to the channel, but it was also something I could use, and it was also something I wanted to give away at some point to someone, something unique to the channel, just a cushion for other people to use when they're watching TV. So maybe it's something I'll do in the future if I find a better place that does these sorts of cushions and custom cushions, because that is just awful. And even though I'm going to use it for now because I've got nothing else, yeah, hopefully we get a better one in the future. So let's move on from that tragic story and actually pick up on the recap. And of course, last episode was all about Beth and Daryl, and actually I want to pick up on one thing before I go into a quick recap, and that is that, I saw in my comments that a lot of you didn't actually like this episode, and I completely understand why. It's a much slower episode, but with me having the privilege of being able to watch these episodes when I want, I don't have to wait a week in between each episode. I think that's why I enjoyed the episode more, because I know they've given me a bit of story in that episode, and now I don't have to wait another week to watch another one. I can go straight into the next one, and I think that type of binge watching actually makes these sorts of episodes better, because you don't mind so much the slower moments in the character development, because you're not having to wait that whole week for the next thing to happen or see the next characters. So I think that is why I enjoyed it more than maybe you guys and girls did. Saying that though, it wasn't until the last 20 minutes until I started to really enjoy that episode, and that's mainly because that's when they started talking to one another and we started to learn a few things about each of our characters. And basically we would learn about Daryl's bad past again, the upbringing he had where he didn't really have much. We learnt that he didn't really have a job before the apocalypse. He was always just, maybe a criminal hanging about with his brother doing drugs and, bad stuff. Which isn't a surprise. I sort of suspected that. And, Beth tried to worm it out of him by having that drinking game, because that whole episode she was on her one woman mission for a booze cruise, which I wrote in the description of my last video, which is true. And you know, she did manage to open him up. He got a bit angry when he was drinking, you know, maybe he's an angry drunk. And he let out the fact that he felt guilty about Herschel's death, that he didn't actually do anything, that he didn't continue searching for the governor, he gave up. That, you know, when the governor did arrive, he still did nothing, he left it to Rick. He seems to hold some guilt for that. But after Daryl's breakdown, he settled down a bit, and you know, he had that conversation with Beth on the porch of that building, and they decided together to burn down that house, because, you know, in some symbolic way it represents Daryl burning away his past, his bad past, getting rid of all that baggage he carries with him. And that was about it, just that small piece between Beth and Daryl. So let's get straight into the next episode. I've been looking forward to this. This is season 4, episode, unlucky for some, 13. So is this Bob later, or is this Bob before the apocalypse, or before he met the group? This must be just before Daryl picked him up.
What's your name?
Bob. Stookie.
Stookie.
How many walkers have you killed?
Rick's questions.
Haven't kept count. A couple dozen.
How many people?
How many people you kill?
Only one.
Why?
Why?
She asked me to.
You got any questions for us?
No. Doesn't matter who you are.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
I suppose at that point he's been on his own for so long, I'm guessing that he just doesn't care. And to be fair, if they were going to kill him, they would have killed him already. They wouldn't have gone up to him and asked him those questions, so... Well, that's a bit freaky. Especially because you don't know which direction they're coming from. I suppose that's why they're standing in a circle like that. Wait, did Bob just get bit? Oh, he fucking hasn't.
It's okay. He got me right on the bandage. Ow, 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 ow. I didn't say stop. Just said ow.
Are we close?
Almost done.
Is that true that he's only got
How do you know?
touched on the bandage? I've
Signs
double
all
checked
there.
that. Oh, they've found the sign now.
If he saw one of these, he would go looking for me, looking for him. Look at this map. All these tracks from different directions leading to the same place.
It's far, and we don't know if there are other signs.
You don't think this is the only one?
This is the best lead we've had so far. It says sanctuary. That's just another reason to try.
If it sounds too good to be true, maybe if Glenn saw one of these, maybe he felt the same way.
He wouldn't. He'd believe, I know.
What do you want to do, Sasha? Keep making these circles from the bus? Or are you talking about us starting to do something else? And we're not splitting up. That can't happen.
So they're all heading the same way. Apart from Daryl and Beth. They're the only people that have not found the sign yet, I think.
It's so clean.
That's what I was thinking. Surely somebody's living there.
Into it.
Whoever did this cared. They wanted these people to get a funeral. They remembered these things were people. Before all this, they didn't let it change them in the end. Don't you think that's beautiful?
Calm.
You think we should stop?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
To not die?
I don't think you know why you want to stop.
Bob, what happened this morning? We get warnings,
We did fine.
and the next time it's on us. Odds are Glenn is dead. That's the reality.
So she doesn't want to find
We
him,
got
does
6
she?
bullets. And you're still bleeding. Those tracks, they run through towns. The first one we see, we find a building. Some higher ground to set up in, all of us.
Diet soda and pig's feet. That's a white trash brunch right there.
It all looks good to me.
Somebody definitely lives
Hold
there.
up. This is someone's stash. Maybe
Yeah.
they're still alive. We'll take some of it and we'll leave the rest, all right?
I knew it.
Knew what?
It's like I said, there's still good people. What are you doing?
This is the comfiest bed I've had in years.
Really?
I ain't kidding.
Oh no.
Pop?
She's got to follow the tracks. We can still catch up to her.
She's not gonna go for it.
Sasha, we can still catch up to her.
You
She's
have
gonna
been
do it
great since we
upright
left
with
the
it.
prison in one piece. Do you even know why you're smiling?
Oh, yeah. I'm not alone. That's how it happened when I lost my first group and my second group. I broke that streak. You'd be smiling, too.
She written a message to Glenn.
I'm awake.
So am I.
Still, when I was out here by myself, I didn't sleep much.
You're not sleeping much now. You gotta heal. You need to sleep.
I can try. I tried. If Tyrese were alive, he'd go for Terminus. I know you know that. So why do you think he's dead? Or are you just too afraid to find out if he is or not? Up until now, I thought you were the toughest person I ever met. Which is kind of weird, because you were the sweetest, too. Just saying.
Maybe we stick around here for a while. When they come back, we'll just make it work. Maybe nuts, but maybe it'll be all right.
So you do think there are still good people around? And what changed your mind?
You.
You know.
What? What changed your mind? Oh.
Somebody there. Oh, fuck, walkers. Fuck. Fucking Ninja Daryl. Go on, get out. Oh shit. Fuck. Train tracks. Whoever that was, are they taking her to Terminus?
Right there. Secure and high up.
Sasha, I'm not stopping.
We are.
I'm not. She's out there alone.
She didn't want us to come. She made her choice for her.
I don't care. She's alone. Now, we get to Terminus and Tyrese isn't there, it doesn't mean he's dead. You don't need to be afraid.
I am not afraid.
So this is it.
Doesn't have to be.
That's right. I'm gonna try something here.
That's been coming a while, hasn't it?
You don't have to be alone again.
It won't be.
Maggie?
Oh, Maggie.
I heard what you said back at the camp. I heard you say you thought we should be in a town. What else did you hear me say? The odds are Glenn is dead, and we should stop. So why are you here? Because I was waiting for you. Because I can't do it by myself. I get that you're afraid. I am. But we can get there. I know. So let's go get Bob.
Here we go.
Come on, fella. Suicide's stupid. Why hurt yourself when you can hurt other people? Name's Joe.
Daryl.
Bob.
Oh. So there we have it, episode 13, and I said at the beginning of the reaction, or before we started the reaction, that it's unlucky for some, and in this instance it's unlucky for Beth, because she's been abducted. So who knows who's taken her. I hope it's no one bad. I hope it's someone that just, you know, was trying to defend their stash, because Daryl and Beth were in that home, and it was obvious somebody was staying there, because they said it's clean, you know, there's fresh food put in there, so somebody has been living there. Maybe the person that abducted Beth saw that they were there, so they let the walkers in, pushed them towards the door, led them to the door, and then when Daryl was distracted, they went in and stole Beth, because they wanted some sort of leverage against the people that were in his house or her house. And in order to do that, they had to kidnap someone. Maybe that's the case, maybe that's me looking too far into it, or maybe it's just a bad person who noticed Beth and then stole her and took her away. But I'm hoping it's the former, that it's just someone trying to get a bit of leverage so they can get their house back, and you know, just try and negotiate to get their house back and their food back. But I doubt it. That's not how this series has worked so far. When somebody gets abducted, you expect the person or the abductor to be a bad person, but I hope Beth is okay. I hope she comes out of that situation. Of course, we saw Daryl there running down the road all through the night, apparently, because she was abducted at night. He started running, then we cut, and it was daytime and he was still running. So it was obviously running all night, trying to catch up with whoever had taken her, and, you know, to no success. And when he did collapse and, you know, fall asleep in the middle of a road, that group stumbled upon him, that group of bikers, and even though he fits right in, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that those are the guys, because I think I recognise some of the faces, I think those are the guys that were in the house with Rick. And if that's the case, we know they're not good people, because the way they were fighting, you know, and just, who knows what they would have done if they found Rick in that situation. They don't seem like good people. So, you know, even though Daryl looks like he fits in, you know, he's wearing the biker gear and stuff, we all know who Daryl is at this point, and he's not that guy. But I feel like, because of Daryl's past, he could actually fit in with those guys in order for it to be at his own benefit, because we know he's trying to find Beth, and maybe those guys are the ones that took Beth, but I don't see that being the case, because they're not in cars, and they don't seem like the people that would, the type of people that would be in cars. They'd be on bikes like Daryl always is. But again, that's just me assuming stuff. They could have had the car, they could have abducted her, now they've stumbled across Daryl, and maybe if that is the case, Daryl won't let on to the fact that he knows Beth. And when he's in with the group, he may try and abduct her back, take her away and rescue her, and, you know, escape into the night and away from those guys. But, you know, I suppose one good thing that you could pull out of this situation, though, is that we know Rick was close to that group of bikers, and we now know they've met with Daryl. So Daryl and Rick have to be in close vicinity to each other, or at least in some sort of area that are close to each other. They can't be too far away, because I don't think too much time has elapsed between when we saw Rick and now when we're seeing Beth and Daryl. So there's every possibility that they could stumble across each other and help each other out. Again, that's me just being an eternal optimist, hoping that that happens, and who knows. But like I say, I think Daryl, even though he's joining this group, it seems like he's joining this group, I think it will be a temporary thing, and that he'll just use them to his benefit in order to find Beth. Whether they've got her or someone else has got her, I think he'll use them. You know, in the long run, I hope Daryl finds Beth, and I hope everything works out okay. Of course, the other group we followed in this episode was Bob, Maggie and Sasha, and I have to say, I am really enjoying the Bob character at the minute. I am enjoying him so much because he's always got a smile on his face. He's always got a joke. He's always got a bit of positive energy. And I think the reason for that could be shown at the beginning of this episode, because we saw briefly before, because I remember him telling the story of how Daryl stumbled across him and found him. And as soon as we saw Bob with the longer hair, I wasn't sure at first whether this was later on or this was like a flashback, and of course it turned out to be a flashback. And we saw, even though it was very brief, we saw in those few moments how miserable Bob was on his own, you know. In that one scene where he was laying down with the wooden spikes down blocking the walkers from getting him, he was just staring at that walker just with an empty glance on his face, just miserable as all hell. And I feel now that even though he's in these life-threatening situations, you know, there's danger around every corner, he's hungry, he's fighting for food, there's misery, he still has that bit of happiness inside him because he's not alone. I feel like that is Bob's worst fear, being alone again. And because he's not alone, he's able to find a bit of joy in everything that's going on. Not joy in the circumstances that are happening, like people dying and stuff, but just when he can sit back, think about the misery, he can also think about the good things, like the fact he's not alone anymore. And, you know, it comes back to being a glass half full kind of guy, and that's who I am. I've always say that, but I am. And I'm just happy that he can see the bright side amongst all the misery. Saying that though, there is one thing I'm going to put him up on this episode with, and that is the fact that when we saw Maggie go off on her own, which I understand why she did it, you know, she heard Sasha say that she's putting their lives at risk or something to that effect, and you know, she didn't want that on her conscience, so she wrote a letter or wrote it out in the sand and she went out and headed out on her own. She basically gave Sasha and Bob an out so they didn't have to go over. But Bob was having none of it, you know, he dragged Sasha with him as far as they could go. And the thing I want to call Bob out on is the fact that, you know, he said he didn't want to leave Maggie alone and that's why he continued on. But in the process of doing that, he left Sasha on her own. So it sort of goes against what he was trying to achieve. Whether because they were at that train station, he felt like Sasha would be safe there on her own because she's got somewhere to stay, somewhere she can protect herself, whereas Maggie was just heading down a train track where she could meet anyone. Maybe that's why he felt she was more vulnerable, so he went with her. But I think it was a bit hypocritical to then say, you know, the reason he's going for Maggie is he doesn't want her to be alone, yet he was willing to leave Sasha on her own. But, you know, again, I guess it just comes down to loyalty, and I think Bob may have hoped that if he gave Sasha no choice, she would then follow him and maybe come with Maggie as well. But, you know, we saw she didn't, and apparently Maggie didn't either, because Maggie stayed at that train station. She hoped that despite her giving those two, Bob and Sasha, an out and not having to follow her, they still would due to their loyalty to her. And, you know, it came true. They both followed her. They both went to the station. It just so happens Bob headed off to find Maggie, like I say, and Sasha stayed behind. She chose to take the out and she stayed there. But again, once she met with Maggie, she heard what Maggie had to say about, you know, staying there, hoping that they would follow her. And she talked around to following her and finding Glenn. So again, they headed on the track, caught up with Bob, and now they're all together again. So they're heading down the track, heading towards Terminus, and apparently leaving clues for Glenn, which I think is a smart idea. Bit of a weird way of doing it in blood, but I guess if you've got no ink, that's the only way of doing it. And you know, we saw at the end there as well, Glenn stumbled across the same message board about Sanctuary and Terminus. And I think any of us, if we were in a Walker Apocalypse and we'd been split up from a big group, and then we stumbled across a track and it said there was a big sign talking about Sanctuary and a place you could go, you would automatically think that anyone in your group that still survived would have seen the same message or may have seen the same message. And if they did, they would all head to that meeting point because you never had a pre-designated one. If you saw a sign that gave you one, then you would head towards that in hopes that the rest of your group would head there as well. So I think they're all doing the right thing. I think they're all right in heading to that sanctuary place. If it is a sanctuary, if it's a good place, if it's a bad place, we don't know. But hopefully they all meet up with each other again. I'm really hoping for that. We've seen they're all heading that way now, apart from Beth and Daryl, because of course Beth has been abducted and Daryl is off with that gang now. I'm assuming he's with that gang now because it seemed like they wanted to recruit him. But again, this is all stuff we'll have to wait and see. But overall enjoyed that episode. A lot more going on than last episode, even though I did enjoy last episode for the reasons I stated in the recap before. But I'm looking forward to the next one. So until tomorrow's episode, guys and girls, thank you for watching as always, and bye bye. Thank you for watching The Walking Dead with me. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a thumbs up because it helps me and it helps the channel grow. If you've got any thoughts or theories about the episode, remember you can leave them in the comments section below, but please, no spoilers. Also, if you want to support me more than you do now, you can find me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, where you can also get early access. A link is in the description below. And finally, if you want to keep up to date with the channel, you can find me on Twitter at TVAndMeReacts, or you can subscribe.